Okay, what we're going to talk about today is the NEJE 30 watt laser diode module. This is January the 10th. It arrived yesterday on the 9th. Yeah, I'm going to have to look back and see what day I did the video saying I ordered it. Sorry about that. I'll put a link to that video down below so you can watch that video again if you want. Basically the original laser diode that came with my unit, and this was a Sanwu, S-A-N-W-U. This was a 20 watt module, which means it put out 5 to maybe 5.5 watts max. Had basically suddenly lost at least 40% of its power. Now, I think I probably had pretty close to the, well, more than 10 hours and probably less than 20 hours on it, but it was performing normally, doing all the tasks that I was asking it to do, right up until I asked it to cut out a wood figure. It is almost 3 millimeter thick basswood, which it did a wonderful job on. But after that, I could no longer do any of my other old tasks anymore. It didn't have enough power to do it. So then I started researching. I'm recapping the other video in case you don't want to watch it. So in researching, I found that most of the diodes that don't give you a complete spec list on them are probably only going to last 10 to 20 hours. And if you run them at 100%, you're going to lose 40% of your power fairly quickly. Burns them up, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, as you can see, the fan on the original one is quite small. This is all heatsink, of course, and it just blows air through the center to try and cool the diode in there. Here's the new one. The fan, let's see if we can get a top-down view. You can see the fan on the new one is a whole lot bigger. And it's thermally controlled, so when you first turn it on, the fan does kick up, but then it stops, and it only turns on when the laser needs it, and it only turns on as much as the laser needs, so it's kind of cool in that respect. And the way they designed the case of the laser to stick down, didn't mean to zoom, to stick down below the lens means the cooling air is like an air assist to keep the smoke and debris from getting up inside and possibly damaging the lens, or at least making the lens dirty, to help keep it clean. And in order to mount this on my unit here, basically the old one used 2 screws in 2 places, and there's a plastic plate that they lined up. This one does come with the mounting screws, but it also comes with this mounting bracket. And by loosening this, you slide the entire laser head up and down, or in fact you can slide it right off. It doesn't have to stay attached. So I basically used 1 screw to hold this metal bracket onto here in one of the lower holes. I actually put a couple of drops of glue on the back side so the bracket couldn't rock or tip with that 1 screw, and then that got everything about in the normal height range that I was used to, and I can use this to adjust it. But as all of you that have followed me in this unit know, that I had extended the height this up so I could use the roller mechanism. And normally when I'm not using the roller mechanism, I 3D printed this scissor jack that I found on Thingiverse, and just by turning this knob I can focus whatever I've got on the jack to the laser. So far I haven't needed to use the adjusting nut and everything like that that comes to focus that. So one of the first things I tried with the new laser, before we get there, there is a connection deal. The laser unit does come with cables, but the pinout is narrower than the pinout on this. And I didn't want to change the cable that existed because this is still a good unit. I can still burn cardboard and paper and even wood a little bit with it, so it's still got some life left in it. I mean, they don't just die, they just get weaker. So I wanted to keep the cable that came up to the end stock, so I simply took the cable that came with this and cut a short piece of it, went out in the junk box and found some pins, a header pin that matched this end, soldered them on, plugged it in. So anytime I want to revert back to this, or one of these that has the wider 4-pin, this is the wide one versus the super narrow, I have an adapter, I can just take it off and I can plug it in. So in other words, no permanent change or damage to the unit. Okay, so one of the first things I tried, not knowing what power settings I should have anything on, is I had borrowed this image from one of the YouTube channel guys that he had one for checking grayscale, and I went in with numbers that I normally would have to hit it with this old laser, and of course it just burned the hell out of it. So then I dropped it down to 35% power, which was still too much. So then I started just taking some clip arc that I found online and dropping it down from 35% down to 25% power, and it's still at 1,000 millimeters per minute. So the laser is quite a bit more efficient or powerful, whichever way you want to look at it. Being sold as a 30-watt laser, it's supposed to give me 7.5 watts of optical power. Supposedly rated at 10,000 hours, but you don't know the curve on that. I mean, at how many hours does it start, you know, losing power? They don't tell you that. But I just figured with the air assist, the 2-year warranty, they must be thinking they're selling a better laser head. It's supposed to have better optics, more efficient. Trying different things, line versus being in bi mode, grayscale. Just tried a bunch of things on this chunk of wood. So at this point I went, okay, it's cutting good. Can I go back to where I was doing my tiles? See, this tile, this image is now part of this tile. You can't scratch it off and remove it or anything. And if any of you that haven't done the laser diode etching, or maybe we should just call it marking onto tiles, I started with a white tile. It has a white glaze coating on it, and you take white spray paint and just give it a couple of coats, let that dry, stick it under your laser, etch this on there, then you take paint thinner and clean the paint off, so you're just back to the bare tile, and then the image will be part of that tile forever, until you break the tile, I guess. But it was working again, and this was at 1,000 millimeters per minute. I was in grayscale mode on this one, and I was running 50% power. So that's not bad. That's less power than I would have been running when my 20 watt, if you want 5-watt optical power laser was. I was normally the lowest I could ever go was like 45, and normally I was about 64% power with this. Whereas this one looks darker and better at 50% power. So I was quite happy and impressed with that. So then I decided I'd try cutting some wood just to see what would happen. And here's one where he didn't run again, this was some clip art found online. Didn't run it long enough. There was another dog here which worked just fine, but that's already been given away as a gift. So right above it I had this horse, and I didn't have the power set quite high enough to make it through in one pass, so I had to do 2 passes, but I didn't turn the power down or anything. So what it ended up doing was being more than hot enough, burned the wood pretty good. And of course the part had dropped out, no problem on the part, just way more power than I needed. So I should have either run a higher power 1 pass, because they're claiming it can cut up to 4 millimeter thick in 1 pass, 100% power if you're at 100 millimeters per minute on your speed. And I believe it. Shouldn't have any problem doing that. So then I experimented with some cardboard. This is actually some ginger snaps from Walmart. I took this side of it, and the first one I did a very fast line tracing of it at low power just to see what it would do, and did a nice job. Up here I'd started with a pumpkin one, and I was at a higher power, and I see it was burning all the way through, so I just literally stopped the process right at that point, reduced the power. I can't tell you what I reduced it to because I actually don't remember. Reduced it down and just started it again so it wouldn't drop all the way through. But it's very deep. You can catch your fingernails on all the edges. Turned out really well. So down here I wanted to do a one-pass cutout in the cardboard, and it did a good job. It didn't burn, didn't cut. Again, the horse just dropped right out when it was done. Normally when I'm doing one of these things where I'm cutting something out, whether it's wood or cardboard, I'll be using my platform. And what I'll do is I'll move the platform over here, and I'll stick something heavy on the wood or the cardboard to hold it on the platform. So the part that I'm cutting is out, there's nothing below it. By the time the laser hits the bottom of the box, because I do everything enclosed in a fan, a box with a fan to blow the smoke and stuff outside, hits the bottom, it's so out of focus it doesn't burn anything down here. But I do it this way so the part can just drop and fall through. So I do have on order an hour meter, and when the hour meter gets here I'm going to find a way to tie it in so that it reads. My main goal would be hopefully that the hour meter only reads when the laser itself is actually on. The easiest way to do it, of course, would be to have it just read anytime the unit is on, but that doesn't give you the true laser hours because the unit might just be sitting there while I'm setting things up on the computer. Although normally I don't leave my system running if I'm not actually burning. But I'm still going to try to tie it into that, and I'll probably end up doing that somehow through the pulse width control, because power is normally applied to this. There's a little light on the side over here when it's on that fades in and fades out and fades in and fades out, so that you know that power is sitting there waiting. It's in ready mode. Excuse me, got to get this thing leveled again. In ready mode, and so that tells me probably the pulse width control must drop to 0 volts, because normally anything from like 3 volts to 12 volts on the pulse width pin is going to tell the laser, how much power to put out. So I'm figuring I can probably pull some simple information off that to control the hour meter, which I'll probably mount down here somewhere. But I didn't want to spend much either, so I got the cheapest one I could find. It was like $10, and it can count to way more hours than what we're going to need. So if you guys are interested in upgrading to a 30 watt 7.5 watt optical power, you can roll the dice like I have, because like I say, there's no way of knowing at this point how long it'll last. Its ratings say it's meant for continuous use. Its fan is supposed to be able to keep up and keep everything cool and keep everything going, but you can find them, just go online and type in 30 watt diode laser and things will come up. But this is the NEJE shop. You can find it there, and yes, it's $109 here, but they charge you $10 shipping, so it's $119 shipped. And I happened to have first found it on Alieexpres. So you can see here on Alieexpress it's $119, but free shipping. So it's exactly the same price no matter which place you buy it from. And however many days ago it was, here, let's look. Let's look real quick. Go to YouTube. Go to there. Let's go into my videos. And how long? Okay, January 2nd. So today's the 10th, and it came yesterday, so it was like 7 days. Only took a week to get here. So that was pretty quick shipping. I was able to get it from a United States warehouse. You only really have the choice of from China or United States, and you can go either way. But says they only have 6 left at this point. Who knows? Who knows how many they really have. And of course there's all kinds of useful information about the unit. You don't get the pulse width control part with it. What you get with the unit is a handy booklet with all the specs on it and everything that tells you what it can do and can't do and the hours. But you do get the breakout board with it. And what this allows you to do with the cables that it comes with, you can connect directly to it. You can put in your own pulse width control. You can plug in your own power supply, or you can break out the wires for your own 12 volt ground and TTL, which means that's your pulse width control. So they do give you a breakout board to run the thing separately. They do give you the cables to connect that up. They do give you the Allen wrenches. Give you the large one and a small one for mounting and doing the adjusting. So you get everything you need to do the job. It seems like it's a really good deal. The only thing it'll come down to is how long will it last. All I can think is that it's got to last longer than the no information one, where they don't want to give you real specs. Whereas this one, they kind of go out of their way to give you full specifications, or as full as possible. I mean, I still would like to see a graph that actually shows. They have different models also. I could have got the 20 watt, but I decided to go with the 30 because it had the built-in air assist for keeping smoke and stuff away from the lens. I kind of liked that change. I also liked the larger fan for cooling. There were a lot of reasons why I went for the 30. They also make a 40 watt. I didn't make that jump yet, so if I burn this one up, maybe I'll give the 40 one a version. Who knows? You can get, apparently, according to what I'm seeing here, you can get the whole unit. So you got everything you need plus the 40 watt head, the whole bit for $250. It's a 32-bit MCU, so could be an interesting way to go too if you haven't bought into anything at all and you want a small portable one. Now I totally get why all the guys that have the big CO2 laser ones and everything just love them and say that once you go that way you'd never go back. I agree. I'd love to have that power, but I need the mobility. I need to be small. I don't have the space for the large water-cooled CO2 laser type things in the house. And even those have, you know, some of the real inexpensive ones, $400, $500 ones, you end up having, from what I can see from watching YouTube videos, there's quite a few mods you have to do to those to make them correct, and there are things that eventually get damaged or need replacing, like the reflective mirrors or the lenses. I mean, it's not a one-time buy and you get the best laser in the world. So for me, this is the best way to go for the money, for something small and portable that does all the things I want to do, like being able to go on glass, being able to do mirrors. I've got these images probably won't mean anything. Let's see if we can get them to where they even show up. I'm trying to look for a neutral background here but still have some light. Anyway, this is glass, and Set to Soar was an album that I put out. Let's see. This one was burned on the backside, so I flipped it around. This one is the backside, but this is etched. It's into the glass. You're not going to scrape it off. And again, that's done in the case of glass. You use black spray paint, burn the image, then clean everything off with thinner. And of course, doing mirrors is super easy because you burn from the backside on the black. You don't have to do anything. You just drop it down, put the image in, and it does a great job. No problem at all. Oh, I did want to try anodized aluminum, so I did that also. I'd never tried that before, so I took this laser module, and right there I put in Robot Hut, and that's in the full fill mode, whereas this one down here was in camera is making some bad reflections. But you get the idea, even though I can't get the lighting right for you to see it. The line mode one is the bottom one. Let me set this camera a little more stationary so I can use both hands here. I know. What if I add some light from above? Like, there we go. So I can see the robot hut in line mode, and then the top one in fill. And this is just anodized aluminum. Worked quite well. I'd never tried anodized aluminum before. I know lots of people do it, like on the car bottles, the drinking water bottles that are anodized aluminum. They put stuff on that. And this is just black. I probably would show up better on like one of the blue or the red bottles. Okay, that's just a heads up. Once I get the hour meter and get that hooked up, maybe I'll do another follow-up one, or if I notice that the laser itself is losing power, I can do another heads-up one, or if I come up with some other materials that you can burn onto with this unit, I'll let you guys know.